This is what actually happened during the WNBA Rivals Week 2026, and why the game everybody talked about was the least important one of the 7 days. From August 8th through August 14th, the WNBA ran 20 games in 7 days, 10 of them in national windows on ABC, CBS, ESPN, NBA TV, Prime Video, and ION. The other 10 on League Pass. They called it Rivals Week, presented by Allie. It's the second time the league has done this, and this year they wrapped it around season 30, the league's 30th season. One game from that week generated more conversation than the other 19 combined, and almost everyone who talked about it got it wrong. Let's start there, because you've seen the number. August 9th, ABC, New York Liberty, 111, Las Vegas Aces, 71. A 40-point beating of the defending champions on network television. The box score is ugly in every direction. New York shot 53.3% from the floor, 14 of 32 from 3, 52 points in the paint, 58 points off the bench. Maureen Johannes put up 27 on 9 of 14 shooting with 7 threes. Jonquil Jones had 15 and 8. Han Shu had 14. Brianna Stewart had 14, 4, and 4. Maureen Fathu handed out 9 assists. Las Vegas shot 39.7%, 14 turnovers, 25 total rebounds. And here's the part that got repeated everywhere. The Aces never led, not once. Their largest lead in that basketball game was 0, so the takes wrote themselves. The dynasty is done. The champs got exposed. Vegas is finished. Except that's not what happened. A'ja Wilson didn't play in that game. Neither did Jackie Young. Neither did Chelsea Gray. All 3 were listed out for rest. It was the second night of a back-to-back. Vegas had played Minnesota the day before and lost 98-87. 3 starters sat, on purpose, in the middle of August. Wilson leads the WNBA in scoring at 25.9 points a game. She's first in blocks at 2.1. She's third in the league in rebounding at 9.7. Young is putting up 18.7 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 6.6 assists. Gray is running the offense at 7.0 assists a night. New York beat a Las Vegas team that was missing its best player in the league, its second leading scorer, and its primary playmaker, by 40, on a BC. And the internet decided that meant a dynasty had collapsed. I want to be fair to New York here, because this cuts both ways. A 40-point win is a 40-point win, and the Liberty played beautifully. 14 threes and 58 bench points is a complete team performance, not a stat-padding exercise against an empty roster. New York didn't do anything wrong. They showed up and executed. The problem wasn't the game. The problem was what people decided the game meant. Because look at what Las Vegas did for the rest of Rivals Week. Tuesday, August 11th, back home against Washington. Wilson, Young, and Gray all off the injury report and back in the lineup. Wilson goes for 26 points, 13 rebounds, and 4 blocks, her 17th double-double of the season. Young adds 25. The 2 of them combine for 51 points. Aces win 86-76. Thursday, August 13th. Same opponent. Jackie Young scores a season-high 32 points on 10 of 14 shooting, 5 of 8 from 3, 7 of 8 from the line. She scored 12 straight in the fourth quarter and capped it with a three-pointer with 4:17 left to make it 74-64. Wilson added 15 and 6. Jewel Lloyd came off the bench for 13. Aces win 83-76. And with that win, Las Vegas clinched a playoff berth, their 8th consecutive trip to the postseason. They became the second team in the league to lock up a spot, joining Minnesota. Head coach Becky Hammon became the 5th head coach in WNBA history to make the playoffs in each of her first 5 seasons. So the final Rivals Week ledger for the team that supposedly got buried, 2-2 with a clinch. They finished the week at 24-11, third in the Western Conference behind Golden State, and they actually clinched before Golden State did, despite the worst record, on tiebreakers. That's not a collapse. That's a team that rested 3 starters in August and then went out and punched its ticket. Now, while everybody was arguing about a rest game, here's what was actually happening. Indiana went 3-0 and took over the Eastern Conference. August 8th, they beat Chicago 90-86. August 11th, they beat New York, the same New York that had just hung 111 on Vegas, 106-92. August 14th, they closed the week beating Dallas 98-87. 3 games, 3 wins, and they finished Rivals Week at 22-12 with the best record in the East. There's a detail from that Chicago game worth pulling out. The league rescinded a technical foul that had been called on Caitlin Clark. That would have been her 8th of the season, which triggers an automatic 1-game suspension, and the game she would have missed was the Liberty game on Tuesday. The game Indiana won by 14. That rescission changed the shape of Indiana's week. That same Chicago game was the 8th time this season Clark and Kelsey Mitchell both finished with 25 or more points. That's the second most by a duo in WNBA history. Chicago's Dejanay Carrington was ejected in the first quarter for a hard foul on Sophie Cunningham. 3 wins, a rescinded technical that saved a suspension, a historically productive backcourt, and the best record in the conference. That was the story of Rivals Week. It got a fraction of the attention the blowout did. Minnesota also went 3-0, and they remain the most untouchable team in this league. They beat Las Vegas 98-87 to open the week. They beat Dallas 103-90. They beat Portland 85-81 on the road. They finished at 28-7. That's a .800 winning percentage. They were the first team to clinch a playoff spot, and they've been the best team in basketball all season. Nafisa Collier came back to the lineup in July, and they haven't slowed down since. Washington went the other direction, and this is the collapse nobody wrote about. The Mystics came into Rivals Week as the hottest team in the league. They'd won 7 in a row and climbed from 8th place to 5th. They beat Phoenix 95-75 on Sunday. Then they went to Las Vegas and lost twice in 3 days. Shakira Austin scored 29 in the second loss, and it didn't matter. Sonia Citron had 17 and 8. They finished the week 1-2, and they slid back down the Eastern Conference standings. And in the most lopsided result of the entire week, bigger than the one everyone talked about relative to expectations, Atlanta went into Connecticut on August 13th and won 104-69, 35 points. The Dream went 2-0 on the week and sat at 21-12. Now here's the part I actually want to spend time on, because it's the one genuine rivalry in the entire 7 days. Portland and Seattle both joined the WNBA as expansion teams in the year 2000. 2 franchises, 3 hours apart, entering the league together. Then in 2002, the Fire ceased operations, folded. And for 24 years, Seattle was the only WNBA team in the Pacific Northwest. Portland came back this season, season 30, and in their first year back in the league, they played Seattle 4 times. June 17th in Portland, Fire 94, Storm 89. July 4th in Seattle, Fire 77, Storm 72. August 8th in Portland, Rivals Week, Fire 100, Storm 93. And August 14th in Seattle, the very last game of Rivals Week, Fire 84, Storm 82. 4 meetings, 4 Portland wins, margins of 5-5-7-2. An expansion team that didn't exist 12 months ago swept the franchise that inherited its region and did it in games decided by an average of under 5 points. The all-time series between these two now sits at 9 wins to 4 in Portland's favor. That last game deserves its own minute. Seattle never led, not one possession, all night. Portland was up by as much as 16. Holly Winterburn had 20 points on 8 of 14 shooting with 7 rebounds, 5 assists, and 3 steals. Carla Light added 14 on 5 of 7. Megan DeLeo had 14 and 9. Bridget Carlton had 14 with 4 threes. Seattle threw everything at it in the fourth quarter and outscored Portland 28-22 down the stretch. AUA Fam finished with 20 on 7 of 12, including 4 of 8 from deep. Dominique Malonga had 12 rebounds. Jordan Horston had a double-double with 12 and 11. AZ Magbagor had 13 and 8. They lost by 2, and they never got their nose in front for a single second of the game. That's a real rivalry. That happened without the league telling anyone to care about it. Which brings up the fair question about this whole event. Rivals Week has critics, and their argument is worth hearing. The case against it goes roughly like this. Most of these matchups aren't historic rivalries at all. They're just games on the schedule with a logo slapped on them. New viewers have no context for why these teams are supposed to be enemies. The format exists to drive viewership and revenue, not to honor anything. And a single designated weekend of back-to-back rivalry games would land harder than stretching it across 7 days. The league's position is that Rivals Week honors 30 seasons of history, and that every generation inherits rivalries and redefines them. My read is that both sides are half right, and the evidence is sitting right there in the results. Portland versus Seattle is a genuine, verifiable, geographically real rivalry with a 24-year interruption in the middle of it. 4 games decided by 1 possession to 7 points, and a sweep. Nobody manufactured that. New York versus Las Vegas has real history too. They met 4 times in under 7 weeks this season, including the Commissioner's Cup Final, which New York won on June 30th to become the first franchise with multiple Commissioner's Cups. But some of the other fixtures were just games, and the thing that actually generated the most conversation all week was a game where 3 starters sat out. That's not a rivalry moment. That's a scheduling artifact that got mistaken for one. If I'm being honest about what this week proved, the format works when the rivalry is real, and it produces noise when it isn't. So where does this leave everybody heading into the break? The league now pauses. The final stretch of regular season games runs through August 30th, and then the WNBA goes dark from August 31st through September 16th for the FIBA Women's World Cup, with games resuming September 17th. Minnesota goes into that break at 28-7 with the best record in basketball and a playoff spot locked. Las Vegas goes in at 24-11, healthy, clinched, and, if you've been paying attention rather than reacting, still the defending champion with the best player in the world. Golden State sits at 24-9. Indiana holds the East's best record at 22-12. Atlanta is right behind them. Olivia Miles is the runaway favorite for Rookie of the Year. And Seattle, at 7-29, is eliminated. Their season ended in the standings before Rivals Week even started, and it ended emotionally on Friday night, losing at home to a team that didn't exist last year. 20 games, 7 days. The one everyone remembers is the one that meant the least. The Aces didn't get buried. They rested, came back, and clinched. Indiana quietly took the East, while nobody was looking. And the best rivalry of Rivals Week was between a team that folded in 2002 and the team that spent 24 years alone in its own backyard. That's what actually happened.